There are many kinds of eagles in the world, but the bald eagle is found only in North America. Bald eagles are easy to identify because the adults have white feathers on their heads and tails, and because they're very large. Their wingspan is commonly between 6 and 8 feet, and they weigh as much as 14 pounds. They build a nest out of thick branches that is often 5 feet across. As with other birds of prey, the female is usually larger than the male, and their eyesight is 5 or 6 times as sharp as a person's. Now, when I was a boy, I never saw an eagle. Back in those days, they were few and far between, and they were getting scarcer all the time. Back then, they were using an insecticide called DDT to kill mosquitoes and insect pests, but when the dead insect would float down the stream, the fish would gobble them up. It takes a lot of insects to feed a hungry fish, and the chemical DDT would accumulate and build up in the fish. Then the eagles would come and swoop down and catch the fish with their sharp talons and carry them off and eat them. And it takes a lot of fish to feed a hungry eagle, and the DDT began to build up inside the birds. Then when the eagles laid eggs, the chemicals that they had eaten made the shells too thin and fragile, and when a parent tried to keep the eggs warm, the shells would crack and the egg would be ruined. So as the years went by, there were fewer and fewer eagles. Eventually, scientists figured out that the problem was the DDT and banned it as an insecticide. Now the eagles are coming back. I've seen them flying over the Susquehanna and the Delaware and the Schuylkill River and the Perkiomen. I've seen them nesting up at Lake Galena in Bucks County. Occasionally, we've even had them here on the church grounds. This one is eating a woodchuck. Look at how long its talons are. Look at how sharp its beak is. Look at the size of its eyes. And look at how clean its white feathers are. Last fall, I drove out to the Middle Creek Wildlife Area, and one of the very first birds I saw was an eagle sitting up in a tree. There was also an eagle taking a bath in the lake. Boy, I bet it felt good to get all clean and freshened up. Taking a bath not only cleans away the dust and the dirt, but helps to wash away the little bugs that want to live in their feathers. The feathers are very important to a bird. They keep the bird warm when it's cold and cooler when it's hot out. The feathers are made from the same protein as your fingernails and will shed water when it's raining. And because they hold so much air, they act like a life preserver when the eagle lands on the water. Of course, what is most important is they allow an eagle to fly and to soar and to dive and carry a fish back to the nest to feed the chicks. So even though the eagle had a nice long bath, the grooming still wasn't done. After letting the feathers dry out a bit, it flew to a tree limb where it scratched and polished its bill and continued to shake and preen, making sure that every feather was right where it belonged. The writers of the Bible talk about eagles many times when they're trying to describe something that is really awesome. Isaiah the prophet describes people who follow God's way as being like eagles. He wrote, "Those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." So keep your eyes peeled for eagles. You never know when you might see one. And try to live life God's way, so that you'll be awesome too.